Hello AQA students with papers 1 and 2 just around the corner. This video could not be more perfectly timed. I'm going to be giving you tips of how to use the remaining time to make sure that your preparation for those papers is perfect, but also I'll be breaking down the papers, giving you the structure, the time management advice, the techniques you should follow so that you ace these papers. What you want is for paper 1 in particular to go very well, so then you can just repeat the process and ace paper 2. What you don't want is for paper 1 not to go so well and then you're catching up ground for paper 2. That's not a good mental space to be in. So stay tuned, make sure you follow everything in this video, take the advice on board, use it to smash paper 1. That's where we are, so let's get straight into it. Here we go. Advice number 1, in the time remaining before papers 1 and 2, make sure you are mastering the content. Give weight to content mastery. It's the most important thing in your economics revision. It's the most important thing in your exam. If there are gaps in your content knowledge, you will lose a lot of marks. So really make sure that all the topic areas in the spec you are comprehensively covering, number 1. Advice number 2 is that after you've covered the content in your mind to a mastery level, topic by topic, practice a wide variety of questions. I recommend starting with multiple choice questions. That is a great test of your basic content knowledge. It's a test of your revision notes. If you're getting most of those questions correct, I'd say like 80-90% at least, it means you are pretty much a master of that content. But if you're getting a lot wrong, it means there are major gaps in your content, gaps in your notes, which you can then plug. So do that first, then go to essay planning. You don't need to write loads of essays. It's not efficient. It's not a good use of your time. If you know you can write in depth, if you know you can follow time management, you don't need to write loads of essays. Plan essays. Because when you plan essays, you're going to be going through all the skills necessary. When you're writing the essay, you're going to be thinking about analysis and how to develop those ideas in depth, maybe writing bullet points of analysis in your plan. You're going to be thinking about evaluation points, right? You're going to be thinking about how to formulate final judgment on long 25-mark questions. So all of those skills are necessary. You're going to be writing those, but by planning, you're going to be going through the same process anyway without wasting loads of time. So essay planning over and over and over again is a very, very good exercise once the content has been mastered. And lastly, advice number 3 here is to weigh up diagrams in your revision before papers 1 and 2. Diagrams are amazing in economics. They illustrate what you're writing in analysis and evaluation. So firstly, in your revision, make sure you're not just staring at a diagram and you think you know the diagram. You should be drawing diagrams endlessly, over and over and over again to the point where they become tedious, because that way you're training your hand, that way you know you can draw the diagram accurately. But also in your notes, next to each diagram, write down where could you use the diagram? What could the diagram be used to illustrate? So then you're writing an essay in paper 1 or paper 2, you know exactly what diagram you can draw and how to use it to illustrate, to back up the point that you're making. That's a powerful way to revise diagrams. To help you further with diagrams, in my revision for 2023 exams playlist, there are 2 great videos there to watch. One of micro hot power diagrams and second macro power diagrams. Diagrams to weigh up a little bit extra, which can show off to the examiner in your exams. Great to watch those, but I've also got dedicated diagrams playlists whereby you can see all the diagrams that you need to know. So get those watched if they're going to help you. That way you're revising all the diagrams you need. Also note, guys, when it comes to video watching, there are loads of really important videos to watch in my revision for 2023 exams playlist. Make sure you check those out. Plenty already there. Plenty more to come for both paper 1 and paper 2. These are videos aiming to take you to a higher level, the highest grade that you can achieve in both of those papers. Such an important playlist to watch. So now let's break down the papers. Make sure you're ready to go with them. Let's break down the papers. Well, both paper 1 and paper 2 are going to be structured exactly the same, starting with section A. Section A is your data response section. There'll be 2 different sets of extracts and the same structure of questions that follow, a 2, 4, 9, and a 25 marker. You have to pick one set of extracts and the questions that follow. So when you're picking, of course, weigh up the 25 marker and make sure that 25 marker is perfectly suited to you, but don't ignore the 2, 4, and the 9, in particular the 9. That 9 marker, you should be scoring full marks. So you want to make sure that especially the 9 you're very comfortable with, but even the 2 and the 4 are not going to cause any issues. But yeah, weigh up the 25 marker, just don't ignore the other questions as well. So pick whichever set of extracts suit you, whichever questions suit you the best, and dive straight in. starting with the 2 marker. The 2 marker will be a very basic calculation question, but nothing overly economicsy. This will be just basic maths calculation. You might need to calculate the mean or the average, or calculate the percentage or the percentage change of something. You might need to calculate the range. I've even seen that before. So something very basic mathsy there. To score your 2 marks, show all your working and make sure your answer is in the correct units. If there is scaling involved, make sure your answer is in the correct scale. But don't take this question for granted, right? I even know further mathematicians who have not got full marks on the 2 marker before. So it can be a bit awkward, a bit weird. So just make sure you're practicing these. All of the past paper 2 markers, do them, then you're ready, you'll be fine to get 2 out of 2 yourself. The 4 marker that follows will say, explain how the data shows something. You're looking for 1 paragraph on this 4 marker with 2 explicit different data references. So 2 different references to the data. For each reference, you need to write some economics linked to it. So for the economics that you're going to write, for each data reference, think how. You're going to write down how does that reference answer the question and why. What could have caused that data reference to have occurred? What could have caused that to happen? That's all going to be economics. So 2 explicit data references in 1 paragraph, but for each one, how does it answer the question and why? So think your paragraph is broken into 2. 2 references, how and why. That's the way to score 4 marks. Again, don't take this lightly. Very rarely do students get 4 marks on this question. So the way to practice this, do all the previous past paper 4 markers and use the mark schemes well. Don't take these 2 questions, the 2 and the 4, lightly. Practice them. 6 marks there, you don't want to throw them away. Move on to the 9 next. The 9 marker will say, with the help of a diagram, explain. It's a diagram-based question marked in levels of response. So how do you get 9 out of 9? We'll get into the structure first. First thing you do, define your key terms, if there are any in the question. If there aren't, just move on. But yeah, define key terms if relevant. Then get your diagram in straight away. That's the heart of this essay. So draw it nice and big with a ruler and a pencil, nice and accurate, okay? Whatever you're drawing, make sure it's accurate. If it's a shift of a curve, AD is shifting or SRS is shifting or whatever, make sure it's the right curve and it's shifting the correct way. If it's a paper 1 diagram, you have to show a market structure or something, just make sure it's correct. Make sure the diagram is fully labeled. So everything on the axis, make sure your curves are labeled, make sure your equilibrium are fully labeled. And then you've got to be referring to the diagram in your writing. And that's what follows next. You've got to have a full depth of analysis paragraph analyzing everything that that diagram shows. So if you're shifting a curve, why has that happened? Any changes on the axis that are relevant, why has that happened? And refer to that. So if it's a shift, AD1 to AD2, if it's a change on the axis, P1 to P2 or Y1 to Y2, whatever it is, refer to your diagram in your writing as well as explaining why everything is happening. So a full depth of analysis paragraph. You also need application to get to the top marks. There are 2 ways to do this. First, on your diagram, apply. So in paper 2, not just price level real GDP if it's AD and AS, price level UK, real GDP UK, for example. In micro, if it's demand supply, price of oil, quantity of oil, right? Actually apply on the diagram like that, you get application credit. But also in your paragraph. Should be very easy to do. Use the extracts. All the application is going to be in there. Use that in your analysis paragraph and you'll be set. That's how you score 9 out of 9. It's a very, very simple essay, this one. You're looking at around half a page to 3/4 of a page overall, and that includes the diagram, so it's supposed to be very short. In terms of time, 12 minutes is all you need for this 9 marker because you want to leave 40 minutes for the 25 that follows. So think, if it's 40 minutes for the 25, 12 minutes for the 9, that's 8 minutes for the 2 and the 4. So speedy there, should be fine. 12 minutes max for the 9 should be fine to give you 40 minutes for the big 25 marker. This 25 marker is unique in that it's tied to the extract. So when you're writing this essay, you want to make sure that it's written within the spirit of the question, i.e. you are using the extracts to drive the points that you're making. Your analysis, your evaluation, your final judgment paragraph can all be driven directly from the extracts. So yeah, all your paragraphs should be very relevant to what's in the extract material. If not, you could lose marks. Examiners can be quite harsh there if you're writing things that are not relevant at all or are kind of going against what the extracts are saying. So use the extracts well. Let the extracts drive your analysis paragraphs, your evaluation paragraph, your final judgment. That's the way to go. You've got 40 minutes to write this. I recommend leave 5 minutes at least for the final judgment. We know AQA 25 markers, that final paragraph is crucial. So at least 5 minutes to write that properly. But to make sure time management goes well, plan the essay very quickly before you start writing it. You'll actually save time when you're writing the essay because you won't be thinking about what's coming next, about how to develop ideas. You already have the basic skeleton of your essay done already if you planned it. So that's how to nail that 25 marker, 40 minutes there, but get in to the extracts. Make sure you don't get that horrible feedback, which is this essay isn't written in the spirit of the question. Use the extracts well, follow the set structure that you have. The number of points you're happy with, stick with that. 5 minutes for the final judgment, you'll be fine. Move on to section B. It's 1 hour for section B and it's 1 hour for section A, but section B is very different to section A. There'll be 3 questions in section B. You have to pick one of those 3, but each question will have 2 parts to it, a 15 marker and a 25 marker. Whichever question you pick, you've got to do the 15 and the 25 marker for that question. Now, you've got to pick very carefully. So many students overweigh up the 25 marker, ignoring the 15, but the 15 marker is a gift. It's so easy to get 15 out of 15 there. It's a basic explain question. It's essentially testing your content knowledge. So it's so easy to get full marks there. So don't overweigh the 25 and ignore the 15. Think about the 15 very, very heavily. Of course, you've got to be able to do a decent 25 marker, but you want to make sure you can score full marks in the 15. That could be your way to a top grade, actually, more so than overweighing up the 25 marker. So really think hard, not just about the 25, but really make sure you can maximize your marks on the 15 marker as well. Now in section B, there is no extracts at all to guide you, no application. You need your own real world examples. That's very much expected in both the 15 and the 25 markers. So if you have my examples for exams book, then that's great, you're going to be covered. If not, you can still get it now, but if you don't have that book, have your own real world examples ready to go on both the 15 and the 25. You can't score the top marks without your own application. So the 15 marker, very, very simple. You're looking at 20 minutes. So again, a relatively short essay, but this question will normally say, explain some factors, some reasons, some causes, some consequences, some pros or cons or costs and benefits, some policies. Basically explain some things. It's a very simple essay. Dive into the structure. You define key terms that are in the question first. Then you're looking for 2 or 3 analysis paragraphs. You decide based on what you can do in 20 minutes. If you're a very quick writer and you can write 3 analysis paragraphs in 20 minutes in full detail, great for you. But if you can't, 2 is fine. As long as those 2 analysis paragraphs are written in maximum detail, you're absolutely fine as well. Now, within those paragraphs, you're thinking, of course, depth of analysis is crucial, yes, but you're also thinking that, can I draw a diagram? If there is a diagram that can be used to illustrate what you're writing, draw the diagram. Just make sure that your diagram is fully labeled, it's accurate, and it's being referred to. As always, good etiquette with diagrams there. But you're also thinking real world examples. You need real world examples for both or for all 3 of your analysis paragraphs, okay? So make sure you're ready to go with that. That's your 15 marker done. No need for a final judgment, no need for a conclusion, no need for a formal intro. Just define key terms and go straight to your analysis paragraphs. When you're done with your last analysis paragraph, you're done. Move on to the 25 marker. And the 25 marker is exactly the same as the 25 marker in section A, but without the extract. So just with your own real world example. So exactly the same structure, whatever structure you like, whatever the number of points is that you like to write, follow it again for this 25 marker. Just make sure that in all of your paragraphs, you're using real world examples, very much an expectation, coming to a final judgment at the end. And again, you want to leave at least 5 minutes for that final judgment. So apart from the use of your own real world examples, your own application, it's the same 25 marker as previous, the same time management as well. 40 minutes for the 25 marker, 20 minutes for the 15 marker, you're good to go. That is my advice of how to use this time before papers 1 and 2 very effectively, but also a neat breakdown of the papers for you, getting you ready for what's to come. But make sure you're watching all the videos on the channel, especially now, the additional ones in my revision for 2023 exams playlist, many in there to help you for paper 1 and paper 2, many more to come. Really, really make sure you're watching those to push you to the highest possible grade in those papers. But thank you so much for watching, guys. A lot more to come. Can't wait to see you in forthcoming videos. See you soon.